Howdy, here we move on to part 2 of chapter 12. We're going to pick up with these factors that affect managerial discretion. Again, the external environment, characteristics of the organization, and characteristics of the manager. Should come as no surprise that we would look at things like industry structure, rate of market growth, number and type of competitors, nature and degree of political and legal constraints, and the degree to which products can be differentiated. We've spent much of the semester discussing these topics, and these can have a strong influence on the decisions that CEOs might be able to make. Next, we will consider characteristics of the organization, such as size, age, culture, the availability of resources and their accompanying capabilities, and also the patterns of interaction among employees. Once you've considered what might be done in the external environment, you have to be able to identify what the organization can do about it. And these characteristics can have a strong influence on decisions made. However, no two CEOs in an identical environment would come up with exactly the same decisions. So why would that be? Well, much of it is the characteristics of the manager. When we hire a CEO and pay them a lot of money, we are hoping that they will provide valuable leadership. And their characteristics play into this. So some things such as tolerance for ambiguity, commitment to the firm and its desired strategic outcomes can influence their decision-making. For example, if you have a CEO who intends to stay at the firm throughout their career until retirement, they might make different decisions than if they're trying to make the firm look good for a couple of years with the hopes that they be hired at a bigger or more high-paying company. Consider their interpersonal skills. I asked you before who an influential leader in your life was. My guess is they had at least some level of interpersonal skills for them to be able to have connected with you. Consider the aspirational level of the manager or the CEO. What are their goals for the organization? And also consider their degree of self-confidence. Now, because this is an area that I have done some of my research in, I wanted to share a few things beyond the book that are not going to be on the exam, but that you might consider when looking at characteristics of a manager. So one of these areas that I've done some research in is regulatory focus theory. And just very briefly, this considers how individuals pursue their goals. Those with a strong promotion focus would achieve goals or seek to achieve goals by striving to accomplish and do valuable things. They tend to be proactive, creative, and open to change. In contrast with this, we have a prevention focus. Those with a high prevention focus would avoid making mistakes and seek to not destroy value. They tend to be more cautious, more persevering when the going gets tough, and they're careful in their planning and their due diligence. So how might this influence decisions? Well, those with a prevention focus tend to engage in less merger and acquisition behavior. They're less likely to deviate in their research and development expenditures, and more likely to respond or react to the wishes of a board of directors or owners. Those with a promotion focus are more likely to engage in mergers and acquisitions, more likely to deviate in their research and development expenditures. And they're motivated largely by firm performance, perhaps more so than they would by fulfilling duty to directors and owners. We could also consider something different, such as CEO narcissism or their vanity. Narcissistic CEOs tend to make bold actions. They, as a result, tend to get big wins and big losses. But average returns are not the same. They tend to be more risk takers. Overconfident CEOs have been shown to pay higher acquisition premiums, or in essence, they overpay for acquisitions that they engage in. This shows that they are so confident that they will succeed that they're willing to pay more to make the acquisition happen. These are just a few things, but you could see a lot of other areas where a CEO's personality could have an impact. So all of this together When we look at the external environment, the characteristics of the organization and the characteristics of the manager lead into managerial discretion, which again is the degree of latitude for action when making strategic decisions, especially those concerned with effective implementation of strategies. This also concerns how managers exercise discretion when determining appropriate strategic actions, which is critical to a firm's success. So question number 2, what personal characteristics, other than what I have specifically shared, might give an influential CEO more discretion than other CEOs, or that other CEOs might not have?